This is my Visual Studio Code script. As you can see, it's different. I'm not showing it in Unity right now. That is because I had a few errors while I was building the project. It accidentally got deleted the last minute. I do not understand. I just had some issues with my laptop and it got deleted. But luckily I had the scripts on the Visual Studio Code, so I can just explain it here. And I have the zip version of my game, which I will be adding with the video. This is my camera control. Over here I have added the float. Camera control is just basically where you place all the objects at, and over here I can control where the camera moves, where it looks, and when it moves. I have the sound manager script over here, which is because I added the audio into my game, which had the background music and the sprite songs as well. Whenever the character, the player, would shoot, it would make a sound. For that, I had a sound manager, which is usually added into the game object because it already has the audio listener in the inspector window. Over here I have the enemy patrol. This basically tells what is the points, which side it's supposed to go, what's the behavior, the animator, because I had animations into my game, it detects what animations I have, and this is supposed to be a part of the script. Without this, the animation does not work. And where the animation should stop and where it should start, it tells that. It shows where the enemy should face. It is all over here. You can see it in my game. Here we have the melee enemy script. This only tells the time between the attacks. It tells the range, it tells the amount, the distance to cast the collider. And I also added a layer mask to specify which objects are considered as players and which are considered as enemy, because I had both of them in my game. We have the timer to manage the attack cooldown when you get hit by the enemy, or sorry, when you get hit by the player. This is the attack cooldown. Over here I have added the animator because my enemy has the animation to it, and this is the rest of the code. Over here I have added the box cast. It is to detect if the player is in the front of the enemy or if it's behind the enemy. And I have return values as well. If the player was not detected, the enemy does not harm. I even added the player health script, which detects the health of the player, and when the player loses its health, what is going to be health value, and how much value will be left when it loses a health, and how much value it's going to gain once the health is collected. Because I have the collectibles script too, and I also added the sprite of health, which could be collected, which can increase the health, and once you decrease, you can collect them and increase your health. Over here I have the player attack script, which is basically when the player is supposed to attack. And also I added the audio source reference to it. As I said, that when it attacks, when it shoots the fireballs, it does make a sound, and when you click the mouse button, it cools down the player, and if it can attack, it will attack. And also the animation is played, so it's really important to be a part of your script. Without it, the animation is gonna work. Over here I have the audio source, which plays the fireball sounds. Next I have the player movement. This is to detect the speed, the jumping, the layers of the walls, and the rigid body of the player, the animation of the player, the timer to cool, the timer to jump. Everything is in this code of player movement. I have it in all. I have added the horizontal input. This is to capture the horizontal input for the moment, to handle wall detections, to perform jumps, to do the wall jump logic, I have it over here. All of that is added into the script. I have a few more scripts, a lot more. The projectile script. This basically controls the behavior of projectiles fired by the player or enemies. This is my script. And then I have the door script. It just reference to the previous room, the next room, because I had 4 different rooms in it. And here's the script for my rooms. It has the spikes, the traps, everything added to it, and when they have to be active and when they have to be disabled. Over here I had one of the traps were the arrow traps. So for this, the arrow traps to work, I had this script to cool down the arrow, the location where it be, and when to be detected when it detects the arrow. But then for me, the arrows continuously played. Even I had this enemy sideways script. Over here it just showed the speed, time, and the transform positions of the enemy. I had the enemy damage script. When the enemy is damaged, this is the script for it, how it dies, and I had to also create an animation on it. This is for the enemy's life. It's like the projectile script, like the player script. Over here I have the fire trap. It's just like the arrow trap, when to enable it and when to disable it, when to attack enemy, and when the animation is supposed to be played. I have the spike head as well, which was one other trap. It's the same like the other traps, when to enable, when to disable, when to stop attack, and when to play the animation. Over here I have the Coroutine tween. This was the base for the tweeners. This is not really necessary, but it was part of the graph. If you can see over here, it shows how my game was there, but it's not there anymore. But then my bullet time was the name of my game. It had my assets, it had my scripts in it. The core script had my camera controller script, the sound manager script, the enemy script had my enemy patrol, the melee enemy script, health had the health script, health bar, health collectible. The player had its own scripts, the rooms had their own scripts, traps had their own scripts, and I don't think library had anything. I even had the UI for the animation. Also in the animation I had the Coroutine tween script added to it. Well, that's all. I did add a lot of animations into my game. That was added by the animation window, and also use the animator for it to make the transitions between the player and the animation. Also, when you're doing the animation, you have to add the animator component into the inspector window, and also add it to your script. It's really important. And always when you're making an animation, to create an animation, you click on the red button and you go to the player. Suppose you have to create an animation for the player, you click on the red button in the animation window, and then click on the player and start the animation, and make sure you have sprite renderer to it, because that's where you add the animation to. Thank you.